Hello, welcome to the second tutorial. This time we'll be working on the kitchen shot. My idea for this render was to create an exclusive looking interior. To achieve this effect, I'm going to add nice glass and alcohol assets. I will also be focused on the color of lighting. By making it goldish, it will look more expansive and luxurious. The story doesn't have to be complicated, you can create it even by adding simple assets, in this case, an alcohol set and lighting. I'm going to start with the second scene. Let's take a look around. When you're ready, create a Corona camera in the top view. Align the target to the camera. Open a camera view on the right-hand side window. Move the camera up. Let's start with about 1.3 meters. We have to adjust the focal length of the camera. The view is too wide. I don't like the perspective of the ceiling. I'm going to crop this. To do so, we will go for a more narrow view. 55mm looks good to me. Larger values of focal length create a flatter looking perspective. After that, we can make further adjustments by moving the camera. Next, we will adjust the aspect ratio of the image. I would say something around 1.3 works the best here. You can also change the values of the resolution straight away. It will be helpful later on. I've prepared some kitchen assets from the Dimensiva store. They are simple and match the style of the kitchen. Find the assets you like, merge them into this scene, and populate this scene with them. We will use the composition script again to help us place the models. We will go with the rule of thirds. There are three horizontal areas: the kitchen island, splashback, and top shelves. Vertically, we will place the tab and bar stool in 1/3 on opposite sides. I don't like to see this bit of the ceiling in the top right corner, so I will adjust the camera a bit. I will also move the pendants, so vertical lines of lamps wire and the kitchen cupboards behind are not in one line. Lastly, I will place the cooktop with the pot and we are done with the first step. Excellent! See you in the next part. In the second part, we're going to work on the lighting. Like in the last tutorial, we will start by overriding all materials to be a basic gray material. Choose Corona material. We have to exclude windows from the override so the light from outside can come through. We will start with the natural skylight, open environment window, press 8 on the keyboard, and add Corona Sky as an environmental map. Let's start interactive rendering to see how it works. It's way too blue. We could change the white balance like in the living room render, but there is another way to do that. We will open the Max window so we can see what the difference is. In the last example, we didn't have other lights in the environment, so it was the most efficient option there. In this one, changing the white balance would affect other lights too, and we don't want this. We will use a simple trick here. Start by adding the Corona sun to the scene. Next, click Setup Light Mix in the Render Setup window. This will set up render's elements automatically for you. Light Mix is great. I love this about the Corona. You can change lighting even after you render an image. We have to turn the sun off but keep it in the scene. This way the sun won't be visible, but the color of the sky will be more natural. Now, we'll lighten up the splashback. Start by creating Corona light. Use a rectangle shape and draw it in the top view. Adjust dimensions so it matches the kitchen size. You can change the gizmo size in the viewport panel to keep our scene look clean. Also, it is better to place it so we cannot see it directly. It will have a softer look then. When it's done, add Light Select Render Element and add the newly created light there. Make sure to check Apply Denoising and change the name so it's not getting too messy. Start interactive rendering. We need to work on this light a bit more. Let's play with light mix settings. First, we need to change highlight compress for larger value so the bright areas are not burned and overexposed. We will do this almost every time. Remember about this when doing other images. Using the light mix, we can change the color of the light. We will go for a goldish look, as I explained in the beginning. We can also change the brightness in the light mix panel. There is no need to go back to light settings and change the values there. Let's brighten the sky too. Four is too much. I will make it 3 for now. After the splashback light is done, we will work on the shelves lights. We can make use of the previous light we've created. Copy it, make sure it is a copy, not an instance, as it will be a different type of light. Adjust the size and place it in the right place, then copy it to other shelves. Use instances this time. These ones will have exactly the same properties. Select all of them, create another light select element, and add the lights there. Again, check the Apply Denoising option and change the name. We can copy the color as well and adjust the value. The last step is to do pendant lights. We will exclude them from material overriding. The model has a simple material where the light source is. Let's replace this with Corona light material and make the value 100, as 1 is much too small. We are able to add models to light select elements as long as they have light material. Adjust the value and change the color. Lastly, enable bloom and glare effects. I want to have a nice glare on pendant lights. In order to have that, we need to make the lights more intense until you see the glare you like. Looks way better with this effect. In the third part, we will focus on materials. The first thing we need to do is to uncheck the material override so we can see materials we're going to apply. We will start with black wood. Let's create Corona material, start interactive rendering and apply this to the model. Use almost black color. Make reflection about 0.5, as you would do with any other wood material, and glossiness about 0.7. This value will be changed depending on the properties of the wood. We will use the wood normal texture for this material. In order to apply this, we need a Corona normal map. Let's plug everything together. Next step is to map the texture correctly using UVW map. One by one by one works fine with this map. I want wood fibers to be vertical, so I need to rotate the gizmo. To add photorealism to the image, we will use some surface imperfection textures. You can find them on the Polygon website. This is a great source of textures. We use this a lot. Firstly, let's add a white map to reflection glossiness to create an uneven effect. This will simulate some smudges. Nothing is totally clear in the real life. We can use a color correction map to make the texture darker so the material will be more matte. Then I will change the opacity to make the map more subtle. We can also modify the color by adding the black map. Plug it into the diffuse slot and let's see how it works. Whites are definitely too strong, so we will use the mix map to make white parts darker. The key is to make the surface imperfection maps look very gentle. It's very easy to do too much. I like it. Now we are going to create the marble material. I will use the polygon texture. We'll start with a diffuse map. I want it less saturated. I will change this with the color correction map. Start interactive rendering and adjust the saturation value. I want this to be darker too. We can use the original texture to create a reflection gloss map by desaturating it completely. By changing brightness, we can make it less matte. Now when we added materials, the image is too dark. Let's make the sky more intense. About 4 looks good. The last part of the material is to add bump texture using Corona normal map like before. We have to constantly work on lighting during creating materials. The color of materials affects the lighting a lot. I don't like the bright reflection on the shelves, so we will block the sky using a simple box. Apply a gray material. The tap already had a material, but I will do this from scratch with you. Create a Corona material, add black color to the diffuse, make reflection 1 and adjust glossiness. If you want this darker, you can reduce the reflection level. Now I think the wood is too dark. Let's change the color. This affected the lighting again, so we need to lower the value in the light mix. Now I noticed that the part of marble material is too dark as well. This is an error created by a normal map. We can fix it by checking Add Gamma to Input in Corona Normal Map. To create the floor, we will use the same technique as in the living room. Let's add textures to the multi-texture map. We will change the color with the color correction map to make it grayer. Desaturate the texture completely and use it in the bump slot. We will add surface imperfections to the floor as well. Copy maps from wood material and apply it to the glossiness slot. We'll change the map channel to 2. Do the same in the UVW map and adjust the size. This way we will not affect the floorboard's textures, but we will be able to change the size and mapping of the surface imperfection texture. All done! See you in the next video. Now let's add some assets. I've prepared the glasses and the alcohol models, plus a plant with a plate. 3D Sky is a great place for this kind of models. This website is quite cheap as you can buy each Pro model for $7. This will give you a great return on the investment. Merge the assets you choose into your scene. We will start by placing the plant and the plate on the island. Then we will place the glasses on the shelves. I like to keep my decorations simple, not too much unless it is necessary, just to add some character and taste to the image. Start interactive rendering. We need to adjust bar lights again. I want to lighten up the plant. To do that, I will create a sphere light. We don't want to see it directly, so we have to turn off all visibility options. Also, I want it to affect only the plant. Add the plant to include exclude and change the option to include. Use the rest option in the light mix to adjust the value and color, but after you set it up, add the render element to keep it clean. Let's adjust the lights last time before the final render. This time, we won't do any post-production in Photoshop. We will just use the Corona Post tab. Add a LUT effect and adjust the opacity. Adjust other values as you like. Play with the contrast, saturation, and white balance. This is what works best for me. Like last time, make sure the noising is enabled. You can also add noise level limit and wire color element for masking. Great work! We're done with the kitchen image. See you in the next video.